And blessed to be a part of your day. Peyton and Cindy, hang on. We'll get to you in 2 seconds. Joining us now from a bad flight. He's so committed to us, our man, Michael Dougherty. Somewhere, are you in the continental United States, or can you disclose?
I just came from New York to Atlanta, and it was about to snow up there, and it's pouring down here, so it took hours, and I was so relieved I made it. But, yeah, as you know, little snow in New York, a lot of rain in Atlanta, everyone loses their mind. So.
Michael Dougherty in the dirty South.
Not like out west, you know. These people aren't as hardy. Anyway, so let's talk about these hardy people in Washington. How about that?
You know, already doing my job for us, segueing us into the segment. All right, let's break it down. What do you make of the memo, and who and what didn't know about whom and when, and all sorts of fun things?
Well, I always say there's a playbook in Washington, and if you know the playbook, then you know it's just same play, different actors, and it's sad because in politics, what hardworking, honest Americans don't understand is that lying is normal, and you always have to consider that in everything. And when you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar, you open the lying playbook. You throw out a red herring. You tell another story. You scream and yell and throw a temper tantrum. You circle and confuse. Then you go silent. Then you wait for the news media to change. You try everything and anything. And you throw a red herring to the left if you don't want to have anyone pay attention to the right. So nothing's an easier example than this whole thing about the sky's falling and national security is going to be compromised and people should go to jail if the memo's released. And then after it, they never said that again. So, you know, and now they're going to have their own memo that all the Republicans voted to release, although all the Democrats voted not to release the Republicans' memo. So, you know, you have to watch what people do in Washington. You cannot listen to what they say.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people in Washington, Michael, are saying tons of things about this memo and the counter memo. You know, if you and I were just sitting here having a cup of coffee, what's your take on what really happened?
Oh, well, I mean, I think you can go through and look at, you know, the original issue was the Washington Free Beacon. I believe that's the right where they started the whole dossier smear campaign against Trump, and then it looked like he was going to be the nominee. So they handed the baton off to Hillary and DNC, and they loved that idea, and they fueled it and funded it and made it big because it's not news when they do these false smear campaigns against each other. That is normal for them. And then they thought Hillary was going to win. So then everyone that's in the bureaucracy, even in the Justice Department and FBI, gets politicized at the top because they're appointees. That's normal for Washington. They like a bag kept over our head. They don't like us to understand that because that would mean they could be held accountable. They count on getting up there and lying and spinning so that they can get votes. So, you know, who's saving me? And so they're all in the same boat here by and large. But at some point, you know, there is a crowd of congressmen, sad to say, just a fact, most of them Republican, that hate that game. And because the Democrats' product is I'm saving you. And if they don't have the I'm saving you and they don't have you needing to be saved, they're out of a job. So you find a lot more of this drama stuff on the left than you do on the right. And so, you know, then they never thought that Trump would win. Trump won. They start freaking out because, holy cow, someone at some point is going to be able to expose how dirty we are. No one's surprised how dirty they are. The news is the exposed part. And now what you've got is a collective temper tantrum, people trying to play, I know you are, but what am I? Like, you know, I love it when some people go, if people are very left-oriented and they don't want to recognize how corrupt their party is, they will start immediately playing up, you know, how corrupt someone is on the right, as if two violations of the law makes both violations of the law okay. You know, and so it needs to keep going. And, you know, I don't think people are surprised. I think this does really cement Trump even more, and it challenges his other side, even more. But then there's a hysteria of people on the left that might get more energized to curl this up. I mean, there are people that actually believe that this is, conspiracy on the left, too. When your political views get so jammed up and so circled and confused, you either break and change or you go to magical thinking. And a lot of people choose magical thinking.
Indeed. Our great friend Michael Dougherty joining us. Michael, if people want to get a hold of you, what can they do?
Go to my website, which is devilinsidethebeltway.com or thedevilinsidethebeltway.com. And Twitter, I'm Dougherty MJ, but you can get that at my website, too. If you don't want to spell out Dougherty, because there's a million ways to do that. And the book is at Amazon, an ebook, hardcover, softcover, and audiobook.
Hey, what do you make of the government shutdown? You think it's going to happen?
No, I don't actually think it's going to happen. But because the last time it was no one wants to blame. Democrats love it more than Republicans because they tend to throw a temper tantrum. But the Democrats had their shutdown a few weeks ago, and it blew up in their face. And that's new to them. So I don't think so.
Michael, be safe. Have fun in the dirty South.
It's all right when the sun's shining. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Our great friend, Michael Dougherty. Let's go to Cindy in Caldwell, from Atlanta to Caldwell, Idaho, on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Cindy.
Well, good morning, Kevin. What a great show again. You just don't even know, because I listen to Sean and I listen to Lars, and you people are just like in a relay race going the distance, because you just probably don't even realize, because I do listen to all of them, how you pick up on each other and just keep on going. The last gentleman, he was spot on. You know what? I really, seriously, the government shuts down every week, and you could abolish the IRS, the EPA, the Department of Education. I mean, I'm so sick of hearing about that, but what I would just like to say for one moment, we went to Atlanta, to Caldwell, but I'm thanking the people in Star yesterday at your motor vehicle department. What gracious, wonderful people, and I met the owner of the Merc. Got to keep that man in business, and because you do purport I just want you to know, I was down that aisle with their liquor. I was laughing. The Revolution vodka for those combat veterans, I fixed the bottle, so it all looked real pretty. It was a little pushed back.
So wait a minute, you went down to the booze aisle at the Star Merc?
I did, Kevin Miller, and I fixed that Revolution vodka on the top shelf so that kind of interesting. It's red, white, and blue. It's a big snake on it. So I figured, well, they need to be more visible for them. So, really, seriously, you just have to keep it on because, you've got the palace coup down in Washington, the Great Cabal. I mean, you've got so much stuff out there going on, but, your listeners were tapping into some things, and I no longer try to you asked a question. I'm just going to just put this out there. What do I do with anyone else that I know that's tragically fallen, whether it be by drugs, any other type of thing that'll take you down because you don't know what a walking target you are for Satan? And I know my biblical Bible very well. And so I'm just telling you, I am praying for that priest for redemption and turning for those that were hurt. Of course, the tabloids. I just call the papers here the tabloids. Everyone, because of our hypersensitivity and emotionalism and love to be titillated by the sexual, they're going to go for the juggler. So I already know that. But I was blessed to meet some wonderful people in Star yesterday. I'm going back to keep that man in business. I told him I am. And I'm happy to say that with those involved in education, one way, practically speaking, if out in California, CARE can get in on trying to change the educational system, they've already got hundreds of books in there that are, quote, pro trying to teach Islam. I say that here. If parents would get involved, and like Ben Stein did with his movie on intelligent design, you can't then go to the God thing because you already kicked God out of your government schools. But you could ask, as Ben Stein, he did the movie Expelled, to allow scientifically, because there's scientific data, that once you understand intelligent design, you might be able to see in the development of an itty-bitty tiny baby what intelligent design went into that little baby to life. So that's just a thought, you people, and you parents out there. I would suggest try maybe looking at that movie this weekend, Expelled. And thank you very much, Kevin. I just can't. I love the owner. I mean, I know there's another grocery store coming in, but I told him, because people come into a store and say things like, what are you going to do now with the other shops? He goes, well, what are you going to do? So, Kevin, you got to still get into that Merc and help that man. I got everything from glue to lettuce. That's a great store. I'm going back today.
They don't make them like the Merc anymore.
I love the Merc, Kevin. So I'm staying on something positive. I love our Lord. He says he will bring all things together for his good. And, yes, I will continue to pray for the people at St. Mary. The world will always do that. Freud was always messing around with a bunch of drugs anyway. Check out him. Here's some great, I was a psych nurse. I'm going, that's a good idea. Start experimenting. So the man fell big time. He's very elderly. He's got mobility issues. And, we'll pray for the redemption of his soul, and I'm leaving it at that. And I'll see you Saturday. I got my stuff all ready.
We're looking forward to it.
I am, too. I'm in a party mood.
All right, Cindy, take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up, Dave Petzo from an undisclosed location around the Pacific Ocean, from an island within the Pacific Ocean. Tell us about the markets. We'll hear from Dave Petzo next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And let's go to Dave Petzo from a mysterious yet undisclosed location around the Pacific Ocean. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. It's good to hear your voice. I missed you on Monday.
We missed you. It sounds like it's early wherever you are.
Yeah, I'm in Hawaii, and yes, it's super early. It's crazy. It's 3 hours time difference, but hey, I can't sleep anyway, so why not?
Well, we all thought of you when the markets sadly hit a bump in the road, then recovered, then a lot of turbulence. You're there in Hawaii, probably meeting with Buffett or Bill Gates or Paul Allen or somebody, and all of a sudden this happens. What's going on in your mind?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. First of all, as we've always said and talked about, Kevin, corrections happen. That's part of what the market does. This one was more severe than you would have expected, right? You would have expected a few down days, but 1,100 points is a pretty seriously bad market day. And you couple that with what happened on Friday, and then you knock off our opening yesterday down over 500 points, and you have a pretty serious downturn. Yeah, it's not a market crash. It's not in the top 10 or anything like that, but it's a pretty serious move. You have to start asking yourself why in the world the market moves that quickly when we've been dealing with really low volatility. And, of course, there are multiple answers, and nobody can pinpoint anything exact. But the thing that always bothers me in this day and age, and has for a long time, are the machines. And with all the machine trading, markets can move very quickly in whatever direction all those algorithms are set up to move. So if we have rising interest rates and the algorithm says sell, 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 then what you're going to end up with is a massive bunch of selling. And I think that's exactly what happened. Fortunately, the market caught itself, interest rates stabilized, and here we are, because we're really dealing with, on a fundamental basis, an economy that's doing incredibly well and has no reason to be selling off. But here we are, and hopefully we are going to be seeing more stability. Obviously, the market opened nicely this morning, quietly, and hopefully that'll calm things back down some more.
Hopefully, but what about the reaction to it from the media and from people that, on one hand, it's amazing to me because the market has had such an incredible ride. And, okay, so you lose 1,000 points, but that was like a week ago, like 3 weeks ago, you gained 1,000 points. So I don't really understand the panic considering the enormous amount of gains that we've seen since the election of Donald Trump.
I don't think there is. I think, number one, this is part of the problem with our president, if you will, that he wants to take credit for lots of things. Then the people that are sick and tired of, because they lost, are really angry at him anyway. And so they can't get over it, and they want to take shots at him. So it's an opportunity to open that door. So the media piles in the anti-Trump door as if he puts his finger on the market up or down daily. And that kind of silliness goes on. And then you really do have people rooting against it, rooting against the economy. And that would be most all of the press. They can't understand why, when you get out of business's way, people work harder. They grow their businesses. They expand. And as you and I talk about all the time, the animal spirits come out and the economy booms. And we're not even talking about tax credits or tax cuts taking effect yet. So I think there's a lot of the whole we're kind of rooting against this, number one. Number two, hey, you're in the media. You know what happens. The slate gets cleaned up every day. There is no news to report except what happens in the world. And when something like 1,000-point market move happens, we have something to report. Hopefully tomorrow a plane will fall out of the sky, a bunch of babies will die somewhere, and we have something else to report. But today it's the stock market, and that's the focus. And I'm not sure that individual investors are panicked yet. We haven't seen that at all, and I don't suspect we will.
More coming up with Dave Petzo in a minute. Time for traffic and weather together, 8:20. And back to Dave Petzo. So where do we go from here?
Well, it's, of course, the million-dollar question, and nobody knows. And that's really the point of investing. If you knew day-to-day, then you would be a trader. You wouldn't be an investor. You would just be trying to zip in and out of the market, and you can't do that. Nobody's done that successfully. There's a few traders somewhere on the New York Stock Exchange years ago that had information others didn't. But the reality is that for long-term investors, this is a buying opportunity for those stocks that they've decided they would like to own but would love to own at lower prices. We got that price break. And where we go from here, I would suspect we'll have a bit of a hiccup here somewhere. I don't think we go straight back up. That would be unusual, not completely without history to make a V-shaped recovery. But this is what's been happening as the market goes down. And people keep looking for it to go down worse. It does not, and it rockets higher. It did that in the very beginning of 2016, where the market for 6 weeks sold off 12% and then just ripped higher until we had Brexit, and that was the last time we've had any kind of reasonable volatility in the market. So I would look for things to settle down, Kevin, but it's not straight up from here. People have gotten their, if you will, the market goes up every single day that's been stopped, and I think that kind of momentum is going to be stopped for a little bit.
Well, what do we attribute that to? I mean, is it higher interest rates? Is it Yellen poisoning the tank? I mean, is it objective, or is it just a mixture of many things, Dave?
I think it is. That's a great question, Kevin. I think it's many things, but I think the key element right now is interest rates and the concern. And again, I know this is so hard for everybody. It's hard for me. Good news is good news, but not always to the market. Good news can be bad news. And when we have an economy that's doing very, very well, and Yellen poisoning, well, I suppose, Alan Greenspan famously said we were in a bubble, 10,000 points before we finally had a market break. It was absurd. He called it irrational exuberance at the time. Yellen doesn't know anything about the stock market. She's a Federal Reserve chairman, and nobody can predict the market anyway. But to say the market is overvalued when there are no other alternatives in the world that aren't even more overvalued is kind of a crazy statement, frankly. Money's going to go somewhere. So we take a valuation of a market that, well, it's not low, okay? So we take a little bit of a low valuation, although I think it's fair given where interest rates are, but it's not low. And then we combine that with rising interest rates, and you have algorithms in the trading platforms that tell you we have to sell when interest rates go higher. And that was the key, and I think we just got a pile of futures selling because markets don't sell off 1,000 points in an hour. They just don't do that, not on fundamentals. That's machines, and that's just sell. And that's what I think happened, Kevin, is that the machines just took it down, and we went, wow, what was that? and it was rough. And then the market caught itself the next day and ripped higher, also probably on some of those algorithms. But good news of the economy booming, period, is good news. Corporations are going to make more money. You and I are going to make more money. We're going to spend more money, and that means corporations are going to make even more money. Tax reform isn't even in this picture yet, and so corporations are going to make a lot more money. The world economy is on fire like we haven't seen in years. That brings out inflation fears, interest rate fears, and that, I think, is what's getting people upset right now in the market.
Our great friend Dave Pezzo, we appreciate you. Safe travels, and say hi to Don Ho.
Will do, Kevin. Thank you. I appreciate it. You have a great rest of the day yourself. Thanks.
Thank you. Our great friend Dave Pezzo joining us, Pezzo Center, Pezzo Financial, host of Money Matters Saturdays exclusively here at KIDO Talk Radio. Let's find out what's happening in your world. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning.
KIDO Talk Radio, our great friend Norma Hayner joining us from St. Luke's. She is a health coach, a health advisor. And Norma, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. It's my pleasure to be here.
You know, what is wellness? We hear so much about these buzz terms, fitness, wellness. But for those of us, going to work here this morning at KIDO Talk Radio, what is wellness?
So wellness, it can be defined in lots of different ways, but a great way to define wellness is to live your optimal, healthy life that you want to live. So it's composed of more than just like exercise or diet, nutrition. It makes up different aspects. It's composed of your emotions, how you deal with your emotions, relationships, good relationships, making the most of your relationships, working on the intellectual part of your life. So do you have a job that's stimulating to you, that you love? Do you make effort to work towards that? And environment, do you have an environment that is conducive to the way that you want to live? And it also encompasses your spiritual aspect of yourself, and also social, your friends, and then back again to your nutrition, exercise, rest. So it's all encompassing of several different areas.
Sometimes those simple things can seem so complicated.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, and that's why sometimes it's great when, people can use a health coach to help partner with that. And health coaching is kind of a new role in the healthcare field. So it's where we partner with the client to work to help translate their own knowledge and recommendations of what's most important in their health and what makes a difference in their life.
Well, and you and I have had many discussions on this, and the idea of, just trying to drum up not only the goals, both concrete and abstract, but coming up with a game plan to get there.
Absolutely, Kevin. And I think, the most important place to start when you're trying to determine, what's best for yourself. But first of all, you need to ask yourself the question, what's most important to you in your health right now? And how would, making a change in that area make a change in your life? And it kind of starts really, you have to do a deep dive into what your personal vision is for how do you see your optimal health? How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? What kind of things do you want to be doing? What kind of life do you want to have?
Well, that's the idea. I think when we talk to people on the radio, or Norma, what I've learned from you is, that's the big question. What type of life do you want to have, and coming up with steps to get there? Absolutely.
And then, the other most, important part after that is, why do you want that? What's important to you about that? What doors are going to open up for you? What matters the most in this, and then to just take and set some. Once you do that, then it's easier to define an area maybe that you want to work on. So, like back again to what's the most important thing that's happening to you right now, And if you don't change where you are now, what's your life going to look like? So some big questions to ask yourself, and then to set some goals around those.
I was going to say, Norma, what are the solutions for people listening right now to KIDO Talk Radio that feel that they're in a rut and they try and then they fail, and it's kind of like trying to push that boulder up the hill and then it goes right back down.
Absolutely, and we're the owners of our own health, and we're in the driver's seat. And if you're in the driver's seat, you have to have a good roadmap to get to the destination that you want to get to, and this means knowing what you want first of all, and knowing what it would like to be there, and then once you know that, to take some small action steps around that. And, you've all heard of SMART goals before. So just pick an area. I talked about the whole well-being, how it's not just your physical part, but your spiritual, mental, emotional, social part. So pick an area that you think would make the biggest difference right now. And then set some small specific goals around those. So start out like picking a 3-month goal. Maybe it's around relationships, like what would you like your relationships to look like 3 months from now? And then just doing we've heard of the SMART goals, so make it specific. So something, that you can measure and an action. So have it action oriented and be something realistic that you can attain, not something so far out there. And know when you want to get there, so how long it's going to take you to get there. So those are the most important things. Tiny steps are what really matter in being successful.
Norma, as you and I have talked about it, what's the most important thing you can say to someone right now that, like myself, they struggle with the idea of putting themselves before others? It's so easy for all of us, it seems, and I'm speaking for myself here, that you have to do this, you have to do that, and sometimes we put ourselves last, and last of the last is not only our self, but our own health.
Yeah, and that happens so much, Kevin, doesn't it, where you put everyone else ahead of yourself. But then what toll does that take on yourself and your ability to be able to give back to the people that you want? So it's sort of like, the pilot, when you're on an airplane and they say you need to put your oxygen mask on first, because if you don't, you're not going to be any good for anyone else.
Norma, if you could you speak directly to people right now? I know you just did, but I think your message would be more effective than me saying something right now about people that might be intimidated to take that first step because they haven't been successful in the past.
So I think that, I think the first most important thing is think to yourself what matters the most to you right now. And how would making a change in this area change your life? And if you were to take one tiny step, it only has to be a tiny step in this area to get started, what would that step be? So write that very first step down, and then also write down what support do you need to remind yourself to put this new step into your life. Maybe you need to write it on the mirror in your bathroom, or maybe you need to, put it on your phone and have it go off, or have a support system, somebody at work remind you. Maybe it's as tiny as, walking a half a block during your break. Just remind yourself until those tiny steps actually become habits, because tiny steps become habits, and then you can build on that and form another habit. And then also how you would like to follow up on your progress. How are you going to reward yourself, honor yourself for these successes that you've taken?
Well, and one thing that I can share, Norma, is, going to the gym can be kind of intimidating for a lot of folks, and maybe you start at home, maybe you go somewhere else, but it's a very different lifestyle in the gym today, and that's what we talk about with Fit One and others. It's not people condemning people, it's people inspiring people no matter what your fitness level.
Absolutely. So, I kind of think the gym can be really intimidating for a lot of people in the past, and you're absolutely right. I think it's been a big shift in that, we all see that it's so important to take these small steps to better health, and everyone's there, I think, just to root the other person on, and they're happy to see them no matter what size, shape, or condition that they're in at the present time. They're happy to see that they're working towards improvement on their health.
Norma, anything else you'd like to share with us here on KIDO Talk Radio?
I'd just like to thank you so much, Kevin, for having me on, and just knowing, it's how important it is, just have a starting point, and kind of know where you want to be. And one thing, small steps lead to success. So when you make tiny steps towards success, the success just keeps building on success.
Norma, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. So nice to talk to you.
And our time is 8:46. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Want to thank our friends at St. Luke's. Remember, you can always join the Fit One Crusade right now and get some great access to not only classes, but join groups, wonderful weight loss recipes. And do want to thank everyone at Fit One at St. Luke's for certainly educating us. We appreciate their commitment to the community and the idea of preventative health as opposed to reactive health. Of course, our friend Tea Party Bob is all about that. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up next, your thoughts concerning another possible shutdown, and what would you do with the DACAs?
Once we have established that the government is going to be open, which needs to happen by February the 8th, we'll then go forward with an immigration debate, and I'm going to structure it in such a way that's fair to everyone. And in the Senate, on those rare occasions when we have these kind of open debates, whoever gets to 60 wins.
That sounds like a college hoops game. Is this any way to run a government? Your thoughts next with me, Kevin Miller, on KIDO Talk Radio. And don't forget KIDO Talk Radio, your FM talk station, along with our flagship station, 580 AM. As I was, the weirdest thing, I was at Fred Meyer the other day, and I was talking to my son-in-law, Ryan, and then I'm walking around, and I'm at the meat counter. And, there's a lot of action at the meat counter, and you're going, gosh, this guy lives an exciting life. He's going to talk about being at the meat counter at Fred Meyer. There's a guy named Ken that came up to me and said, hey, you look like a DJ. And I'm going, I'm 50 years old. I'm wearing a food-stained hoodie with shorts, and this is my formal attire. And what station are you spinning the hits? Well, Ken didn't say that, but for dramatic purposes, we'll just say that. And I said, I'm, and this drives me crazy here, when people say, hello, you're a DJ. No, I don't spin the hits. We talk about the issues that matter to you. And I said, no, I'm a talk show host. Well, what's that about? And I told him a little of that. And he said, well, I'm going to listen. So just like our friend Ken, I said, well, you can listen at 580 AM or 107.5 FM. And again, you don't want to forget when it comes to, again, whatever we're doing to do our very best to earn your listenership, whether it's 107.5 FM, 580 AM, or our KIDO Talk Radio app, always making it easy, because we truly understand that you have a lot of choices when it comes to not only morning radio, talk radio, and throughout the day. So, earning your trust each and every morning. Let's go to Jerry in Eagle with good old Kay Millie at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Jerry.
Hello. I just wanted to comment on the little brief play you did there with McConnell.
Well, let me properly introduce you. It's the pride of North Carolina State, Wolfpack Jerry, with us. Good morning, Jerry.
Yeah. and they're doing pretty well right now
They
in
are.
football and basketball. The comment that McConnell made that you played shows just how wimpish he is, and it's not that he's a wimp. He's not really pro-American for the voters. If he knows fully well that if it was Chuck Schumer or Harry Reid who was the head of the Senate right now, that they wouldn't even hesitate to pull the 51 vote lever to pass whatever we want to pass if we're conservatives. And we need to do everything we can to help the people of Kentucky wise up and get this guy out of the Senate, because he's the biggest impediment to the Trump voters and to the will of the American people in the 2016 election.
Roger that. Jerry, you take care of yourself.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye. Appreciate you calling KIDO Talk Radio, 853. Let's get you to work. And back to the phones. We go to Liberal Steve at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Liberal Steve.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. Shut her down. Shut her down for 6 months. Shut down Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all the parks, everything that you could possibly shut it down for 6 months. Let it go.
Well, a lot of people would say that about our segment together.
Well, a lot of people say a lot of things, Miller.
They do.
But they don't have the guts to shut it down. They won't, it's just
Many
the
people would say
same
they don't
old-
have the guts to shut you down.
You are. I can reach through this phone. I hope you know that, and I can grab you by that necktie that you very seldom wear, except at the State of the Union the other night, and yank you right through this phone, buddy. So you be careful.
Well, then I would charge you with assault.
Well, pass the pepper as long as you're charging me with assault. You stay fired up, Miller. And we'll talk at you later. Shut her down. Who cares? Shut her down. Bye-bye.
All right, there we have it. Liberal Steve joining us here at KIDO Talk Radio.
Maternal love is the love that's going to change the future of mankind. So we'd like you to look into
we
that.
like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind, because it's more inclusive.
There we go. Exactly. Yes, thank you.
We can all learn from each other.
Wow. There we have it. What would it be like to live in Canada with Justin Trudeau as the prime minister? Now, compare him. He's a metrosexual, probably a millennial, nice young man, to Donald Trump.
If we don't change the legislation, if we don't get rid of these loopholes where killers are allowed to come into our country and continue to kill gang members, and we're just talking about MS-13, there are many gang members that we don't even mention. If we don't change it, let's have a shutdown. We'll do a shutdown, and it's worth it for our country. I'd love to see a shutdown if we don't get this stuff taken care of.
Donald Trump representing the Clint Eastwood America.
You have the other side, even on positive news, really positive news, like that. They were like death. And un-American. Un-American.
Un-American, right? Donald Trump, one more time.
Somebody said treasonous. I mean, yeah, I guess why not? Can we call that treason? Why not? I mean, they certainly didn't seem to love our country very much. But you look at that, and it's really very, very sad.
There we have it, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. But getting back to just the Prime Minister of Canada, one more time. In other words, who would you like to hang out with?
Maternal love is the love that's going to change the future of mankind. So we'd like you to look into
We
that.
like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind, because it's more inclusive.
There we go. Exactly. Yes, thank you.
We can all learn from each other.
There we have it. We can all learn from each other. Let's get rid of mankind. Right? call it person or people kind. This is a guy that's running a big country. Thank goodness that we have Donald Trump. And a lot of people, they may not like Donald Trump, but many people do. Many people get it. Many people understand it. And I do. I mean, could you imagine what we're teaching kids today when it comes to, how to behave, how to act? I don't want to offend anybody. Oh, I'm sorry. We have people apologizing for things they didn't do. I mean, imagine what it would be like for some of our great American history heroes to be living in the world that we live in today. Getting rid of mankind would need to be more inclusive. What's next? Oh, my goodness. I thank the Lord every day that we have this time to try and inoculate all of ourselves from this PC, mammy-pammy, Rudy-poo, Pamela-puking insanity, right? Graham, great job as always. Thank you all for listening. We'll try to do better tomorrow. God bless you and your family. Keep the faith. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.